Greetings, graduates, partner schools, students, and friends. I'm Dr. Randall Langley, and President of CLST Global. Along with our amazing staff, our world-class faculty, and our board of directors, it is my distinct privilege to welcome you to the class of 2021 Christian Life School of Theology Global Commencement Ceremony. We also invite everyone to comment and add your personal congratulations to this graduating class of 21. And please be sure to share the link to this video on any of your social media pages to encourage others to tune in for this exciting online event. Well, let's get started. God bless.
Hello, Christian Life School of Theology Global family. I'm Donna Avery, an alumni and part of the marketing team here. As our social media coordinator, I love to be interactive, so feel free to pull out your phones now. Log into Facebook and check in at CLST Global. Also, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you're on LinkedIn, you can add our school to your profile as a fellow alum. If you help lead one of our partner schools, make sure to join our special CLSTG Partner School Facebook group. You can find this group on our main Facebook page at Christian Life School of Theology Global. As a part of this group, you'll receive lots of free resources such as social media graphics you can use to promote your partner school programs, podcast episodes full of biblical leadership wisdom, and much more. Stay tuned, alumni. We want to continue to provide you with resources to reach the pinnacle of your calling.
Hello friends, I'm Dr. Russ Schroeder, and I am honored to celebrate this year's Christian Life School of Theology Global graduates. Graduating is a big accomplishment regardless of the circumstances, and you have overcome in the face of many adversities, including a global pandemic. John Quincy Adams wisely said, "Patience and perseverance have a magical effect before which difficulties disappear and obstacles vanish." As you embrace the journey ahead, remember that succeeding at all that God has for you happens with day-by-day disciplines. As we celebrate the achievements of our graduates, we're thankful for the many who have strived to make our school what it is today. Christian Life School of Theology Global began in 1983 under the leadership of Dr. Ronald Cottle with just a few courses and a handful of faculty and staff. Today, we enjoy nearly 300 courses, serve over 100 active partner schools, and to date have graduated over 8,000 leaders, giving them a solid biblical foundation to accomplish their kingdom mission. Our educational resources have impacted over 140 countries, serving thousands of churches and tens of thousands of students. While we have encountered challenges along the way, we continue to stay the course, determined to achieve our mission of helping people reach their full God-given potential and discover the plans God has for their lives. The end result of our perseverance, in spite of the obstacles we faced along the way, is you, the graduating class of 2021. We are honored to be a part of your journey, and we will continue to provide you with the resources and tools to grow in your pursuits of God's purposes and plans for your life. We enjoy hearing all of the ways you use the educational and spiritual foundation gained at CLSTG to make our world a better place. May your years ahead continue to embody your strength of character and willingness to tenaciously pursue your dreams. Congratulations, class of 2021. Go forward and aspire to reach your full God-given potential.
We are honored to have Dr. Kevin Baird as this year's keynote speaker to share an inspiring message. Dr. Baird is the director of the Florida Capital Project, a nonprofit organization dedicated to building relationships between church leaders and government officials. With more than 40 years of extensive ministry experience, his professional background includes positions as a lead pastor, church planner, national conference speaker, college professor, talk radio host, biblical worldview advocate in public policy, blog writer, and media analyst on culture. Dr. Baird holds a BA in Religion and Philosophy, an MDiv in Historical Theology, and a DMin in the History of Christian Thought. Dr. Baird teaches one of our most popular courses, Engaging the Culture with a Biblical Worldview, to provide wisdom for how you can help shape our culture biblically. Please welcome Dr. Baird now by leaving a comment.
I'd like to thank Dr. Langley for the invitation to speak today to the distinguished graduates of CLST Global, as well as greeting all of the family members, the friends, perhaps colleagues who are joining us on this online commencement, to say congratulations to all of you for a course well run in this incredibly challenging era. Now, my current ministry assignment is to reach out to Florida pastors to connect them with their civic leaders. Sometimes I'm asked the question as to why. Well, the short answer is that the church, with pastors as well as Christian leaders, are the linchpin to whether this culture is renewed or whether it continues to deteriorate. Now, you may ask, how can you say that? Well, I say that because Jesus first said it when he declared that his people were to be the salt of the earth and they were the light of the world. So if there's anything that's worth preserving, if there's anything good, anything true, anything beautiful, if it's to be preserved, it's on us. And likewise, if it's all falling apart, that's on us too. But the sobering point is that the church has abdicated in many ways its salt and light role. There are, according to stats, over 25 million unregistered Christians who simply sit out elections no matter what their viewpoint may be. Barna tells us in recent studies that only 6% of church attenders hold a consistent biblical worldview. In fact, that number drops to 4% when we take it to the next generation. The connection between our faith and the scriptural mandate of influence is evaporating. In fact, we're beginning to cement the unbiblical notion that there is somehow a divide between that which is sacred and that which is secular, when the psalmist said that the earth is the Lord's and all that it contains. I'm remembered of Jesus' story concerning the man who was delivered from a demon in Matthew 12:43. And he taught us that when an unclean spirit leaves a man, it seeks another place to dwell. In fact, according to his story, the man was cleansed, his house was put in order. But the demon came back and brought 7 of his friends with him, 7 more wicked, Jesus said. Now, the point of the story, and there could be several of them, but I take one as this, that there's a dangerous implication in creating vacuums and ceding this ground to the devil. Every vacuum will be filled with something, either righteousness or evil. You see, there's no such thing as neutral. This vacuum will be filled. And if the church and Christian leaders decide to allow vacuums to exist in whatever arena it may be in culture, then it should not surprise us when the enemy sweeps in and things become 7 times worse than they were years ago. Now, I understand that the present American culture feels on edge. We all feel on edge these days. We all are riding this roller coaster ride of a pandemic. Our politics has put us in an upheaval. There are anger and wounds and scars as we reflect upon our historical sins as a nation. Our trust levels with media, institutions, and bureaucracies are at an all-time low. And so you and I were born into an era that is just like this. We may not have asked for it, but here we are. And they're challenging days, no doubt. I'm reminded of the story of the Apollo 13 explosion, where we nearly lost 3 of our astronauts in space. Mission Control was understandably in a panic as they assessed the situation and problems, knowing that it looked impossible. Chris Kraft was the NASA administrator at the time, and he was reported to have said that this could be the worst disaster in NASA history. Gene Kranz, the NASA flight director, responded. He said, "With all due respect, I believe this could be our finest hour." So in much the same way, many are predicting that this may be the worst season for church adversity, apathy, and maybe our time has come and gone. And yet I believe that despite the challenges and the realities we face, I am convinced that this moment could be the church's finest hour, and your leadership is being called upon to enter into the hour into which you were born. So I want to just share with you in these remaining moments and remind you as leaders of why we might have hope. Romans 8:28 says that God causes, that's what it says in the literal Greek, God causes all things to work together for good to those that love him and are called according to his purpose. There are 3 words I want to leave with you today that I want you to remember as you take your leadership into the future. The first word, and it has helped me walk through these incredibly challenging days, the first word is providence. Providence simply means that God is sovereign and he is large and he is in charge. The word simply means that history and the present are not simply the accumulation of capricious or arbitrary events. That you and I are not groping around by blind chance, tripping into what we hope may be good decisions. There's a God that's orchestrating his will in the earth, causing events to work for his purposes. The Bible says the steps of a righteous man are ordered, and that gives me great hope. Recently, Prince Philip of the royal family passed away, and it's amazing to me how Americans love the British royals. It's like we've come full circle. There was a time in our history we were trying to get away from British royalty, and now it seems we're enamored with British royalty. Now, I have a theory as to why that is. I believe that we are enamored with them because they're ceremonial. They really are impotent and powerless, so we can project upon them any storybook image that we might like to inflict upon them. We can dream whatever we want to dream about them. They are figurehead royalty, so it's a storybook in most of our minds. And when it comes to royalty, oftentimes that's what we default to. But I want to remind you, when it comes to Jesus, he is no storybook king, nor is he a figurehead king. In fact, he is a real king. His authority is rule, and despite at times our efforts to force upon him these storybook imaginations and make him into something he's not, he is large, he is in charge, and he is in control. Our founders of this nation knew that it was God as they were approaching a battle with a great superpower. It was God who would be in charge of the war. It was God who would move the heart of the king. It was God who sets up one and pulls down another. It was God who empowers people to prosper, who determines where men live, who controls the weather, who establishes governments, who creates the boundaries of nations. This was ingrained into the American psyche, and we just simply need to be reminded of it again, that God is providential, he is sovereign, he is in charge, and it fills me with hope as I go into this incredibly challenging time period as a leader, that providence is at work for me. The second word is paradox. Paradox simply means that God's ways are not my ways. Much like irony, it's when something looks or acts or is spoken that seems almost absurd. But when you investigate it, you find it to be true. The kingdom of God runs on paradox. I just want to remind you that your leadership will run on paradox. If you try to save your life, you'll lose it. But if you lose your life for the sake of the gospel, you'll save it. Jesus said words like, if you die, you live. If you give up, you get in. That the servant will be the greatest, the first will be last, and the last will be first. He will exalt the humble, but he will debase the proud. He will choose the foolish things to shame the wise, the weak things the mighty, the base things and the despised things to bring to nothing the things that are. This is how leadership works. He pulls kings out of sheep fields like David. Like Joseph, he pulls economists out of prisons to stand next to pharaohs. He puts saviors into stables. He plucks world changers off fishing boats. The list is endless as to the paradoxical nature of his kingdom. Now, why does God choose paradox? 2 reasons. It slays our pride and it challenges our pragmatism. We need to be reminded at times as leaders, we're not always as smart as we think we are. And so this is good news for us, that God is not only large and in charge, providential, but there's also a paradox to his ways. And any setback you may face may actually be a set up for an opportunity. Your problem may actually be an open door. So remember providence, remember paradox, but thirdly, perseverance. God empowers you to press forward, to persevere. And I just want to end by asking a question. How do you view the future? Do you see it as a foregone conclusion that everything's collapsing? There's no reason for hope, much less work at trying to bring about change? Do we capitulate to the winds of challenge and adversity? Or do we look to the future realizing that all things work together for good to those that love him and are called according to his purposes? You see, the answer to that question will strike to the heart of your motivation. I believe the gospel ultimately prevails. I believe that gross darkness is the best environment for the church and her leaders to arise and shine. I believe that the real church is unstoppable because our God cannot be stopped. I believe the latter house is greater than the former one. I believe Jesus will get his way. I believe as amazing as the book of Acts may be, it was only the starting point of something far greater. It doesn't matter what the world says the scoreboard is today. I know Jesus wins in the end, so I persevere. God enables and empowers me to persevere. We persevere in prayer. We persevere in proclamation. We persevere in participation. Jesus said it best when he looked at his disciples and he said, you occupy or you do business until I come. So we refuse to give up. Quit is not in our vocabulary. We don't throw in the towel. We keep proclaiming good news because we believe a better day is just ahead. Why is that? Because God is causing all things to work together for good to those who love him and are called according to a purpose. I want to end with this story. Alexander Solzhenitsyn was the great Russian dissident. And because of his vocalness concerning the totalitarian regime of the old Soviet Union, he was thrown into the Gulag. And the Gulag was an incredibly terrible place to be. And it was on one particular day that he was assigned the job of digging a ditch. He'd been there for years. Digging ditches were common. It was a futile activity. They weren't used for anything. It was simply to keep them busy. And the day had arrived when Solzhenitsyn decided that he was done digging ditches. And so he threw his shovel down and he walked over to a wooden bench and he sat down, knowing full well that if the Russian guard saw him walk away from his ditch digging, that guard would pick up the shovel and probably beat him to death with it. But it was while he was sitting there that an old man shuffled up to him. And while Solzhenitsyn was sitting at the bench, the old man began to etch out in the dirt at his feet below the image of the cross. And at that particular moment, as he hunched over and he drew the sign of the cross, something happened to Solzhenitsyn. He writes that his entire perspective shifted. He understood the odds. He understood the futility of where he was at and what he was doing. He understood his frustration, the desire to throw in the towel, to quit, to give up, because the odds against this Soviet empire seemed insurmountable. But yet as his eyes dropped to that simple picture of a cross and the power that it represented, he was reminded at that moment that anything is possible with God. And with that, he picked up his shovel. He went back to ditch digging, and through providence, paradox, and perseverance, he was eventually released from that gulag and became the voice to the world concerning Soviet totalitarianism, and in no small part aided to its collapse. It was Isaac Watts who once said, at the cross where I first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the day. I encourage you graduates, today get a new vision, an epiphany of the cross. Jesus made all things possible, and your leadership is needed in a crumbling world to be salt and to be light, in order that we might preserve that which is good, that which is true, and that which is beautiful. Congratulations once again on a course well done, well deserved. God bless you.
And now the most momentous time in every commencement ceremony has come. The presentation of candidates for graduation. Make sure that you leave a comment congratulating your graduate as his or her name is called. Please welcome Dr. Larry Asplund, Director of Program Development, for the conferring of the degrees.
Those receiving certificates in ministry. Emily Jane Hoenstra, Certificate of Ministry in Church History. Emily Jane Hoenstra, Certificate of Ministry in Marriage and Family Studies. Malford J. Ingram from Nassau, Bahamas, Certificate of Ministry in Biblical Counseling. Sergei Simonovich, Certificate of Ministry in Advanced Biblical Counseling. Sergei Simonovich, Certificate of Ministry in Pastoral Ministry. Sergei Simonovich, Certificate of Ministry in Prayer and Intercession. Charles D. Stanley, Certificate of Ministry in Biblical Studies. Congratulations to all those who have earned their certificate in ministry.
Hi, I'm Dr. Virginia Cornett, Academic Dean for CLST Global. And we're glad to be a part of celebrating with you 2021 graduation. And to all of you, it is my hope that all that you have learned, that you will take and represent who Jesus is. Not only what you've learned, but the wisdom may you make disciples.
Those receiving a diploma in theology. Daniel Alcole from Canada. Katrina Elizabeth Berger from Canada. Dolores Collins Doss. Charles D. Stanley. Congratulations to those receiving the Diploma of Theology.
Hi, my name is Gina Brasington. I am the Office Business Manager of CLST Global. I would just like to say congratulations to all of our graduates. There will be days when you feel like giving up, but don't. There will be days when you feel like you just don't have what it takes, but you do. There will be days when everything seems to be falling apart, but it won't. You must know things will work out for the good, and there will be days that you'll look back and say, I am glad I never gave up. Congratulations.
Hi, my name is Donna Avery, an ordained pastor through Christian Life School of Theology Global. I've also earned my associate's degree here at CLSTG, and what I've learned has helped me co-found our ministry, Visual Testaments, with my husband Tim. Now we travel the country helping men and women discover and fulfill their kingdom purpose. Visit ChristianLifeSchoolOfTheologyGlobal.org and tell them Tim and Donna sent you.
For those receiving the Associate Degree of Theology, Victoria L. Alexander, Dolores Collins Doss, Tony Anthony Foster, Patty Gail Guasco, Charles Maxwell, Melanie S. Wilkinson from Nassau, Bahamas, Indira G. Williamson from Nassau, Bahamas. Congratulations to those who are receiving the Associate of Theology degree.
Hello, I'm Reverend Tim Avery, and I'm honored to be the first ordained minister with Christian Life School of Theology Global in 2018. You know, today's leaders often seek licensing and ordination to help accomplish their kingdom mission. However, not all men and women walk traditional ministry paths. Marketplace leaders, entrepreneurs, educators, and others can be credentialed with CLSTG to better serve in your mission field. Find out all the details at ChristianLifeSchoolOfTheologyGlobal.org.
Those receiving the Bachelor of Theology degree, Zachary T. Chandler, Zoe N. Chandler, Alton Crockett Jr., Kathleen Ann Duncan, Mervyn Fontanelle from Canada, Charles Andrew Friesen from Canada, Tony Foster, Diana G. Grooms, Stephen Lane, Charles Maxwell, Olivia Ohuengbe, Stacy Remus, Mariah Hope Tucker. Congratulations to those receiving the Bachelor of Theology degree. Those of you completing your bachelor degree, now that you have completed that level of your education, take your tassel and place it from the left side onto the right. And it indicates when you do so that any learning from this point indicates a love for learning, a desire to simply continue to grow in the way the Lord is equipping and training.
Hello, I'm Denise Sheehan, Director of Grading at CLST Global. We are so excited for what God is going to do through you as you achieve your kingdom purpose. Congratulations as you graduate.
Did you know that it's easier than ever to start a Bible school? You know the value Christian higher education adds to serving the kingdom mission of God in your sphere of influence. And your leadership experience makes you a perfect catalyst for a partnership with Christian Life School of Theology Global. Why now? Current events are upending many lives in ways that few of us have ever seen. These are the times as we enter great awakenings and harvests. People are looking for answers. We need to be ready, and that means taking advantage of every resource available, especially education. Your new school can be fully operational in just a few days. So who is on your team? The plan is simple. Designate a dean of the school and let them select an administrator. The two will be the go-to for students as the chancellor shares the vision and gives voice to the school. As chancellors are often pastors, we want you to know that it will not require extra resources from you or the church. In fact, this is an opportunity to gain financial resources via the tuition share from the new school. So what is your investment? By utilizing our custom learning management system, all that is left for the dean is the coaching and mentoring of your students. This can be done in as little as 5 to 10 hours each week. It's very comparable to leading a small group. You can easily do this for even 20 to 25 students. So how do you get it done? Visit us at ChristianLifeSchoolOfTheologyGlobal.org for all the information, including registration, resources, the answers to frequently asked questions, and more. We have confidence you will enjoy this new opportunity to fulfill the kingdom mission as a partner school with Christian Life School of Theology Global.
Those receiving the Master of Theology degree.
From Kingdom Bible Training Center in Canada, Thomas Arrow.
Marjorie Alicia Ben from the West Indies. Christopher Bonich. Mashea Brody. Cindy Chandler. Michelle Lynn Devaney. Emily Jane Hoenstra. Melford J. Ingraman from Nassau, Bahamas. Diana James. Carnita M. Jones. Stephen Lane. Mary Ann Manigo. Marcia Ann McPhee from Nassau, Bahamas. Eunice Raleigh from Nassau, Bahamas. Jewel K. Williams from Canada. Delroy Woodburn. Congratulations to those who are receiving the Master of Theology degree.
Hello, I'm Sherry Chatelain, Director of Publications for Christian Life School of Theology Global. We are so excited that you are achieving what you set out to do, and that is to earn your degree. We are excited to see what God is doing in you and through you in your next season of your life. Again, congratulations.
Those receiving the Master of Sacred Studies degree.
From Kingdom Bible Training Center in Canada, Thomas Arrow.
Marjorie Alicia Ben from the West Indies. Ryan Heath Burchett. Carolyn Bright Mariel. Jonathan Parker. Kelly Lee Tucker. Michael Warner. Congratulations to those receiving the Master of Sacred Studies degree. Christian Life School of Theology is global in its reach, but it's also global in its ministry, because we have intentionally reached out and made educational resources available to students literally around the world. I love the fact that our president, Dr. Langley, has not only the heart of an educator, but the heart of a missionary. And he loves finding ways to serve pastors around the world who really do not have access to excellent training material as a result. And so, the way we can only do that is by folks sending in contributions to us that are aimed at our global outreach. And so we love the fact that we have so many of our schools and students, pastors. Some churches have literally put Christian Life School of Theology Global in their missions budget. And we love that because it enables us to continue to expand out into areas of Asia and Africa that would not have access to training materials otherwise. So we want to encourage you this year as well to give. You can go to the website and find a link there that will enable you to give. Of course, as you know, Christian Life School of Theology is a 501c3 corporation, so it is a contribution that will benefit you as well as to schools and students around the world. So God bless you in advance. Thank you for your generous giving. Those receiving the Doctor of Sacred Studies degree.
From Kingdom Bible Training Center in Canada, Thomas Arrow.
Marjorie Alicia Ben from the West Indies. Christopher Bonich. Joanne Diggs. Sandra Nesbitt Gaithers. Anthony A. Guasco. Jesse Lamont Hood. Sheila Green Johnson. Mary Ann Manigo. James A. Michaels. James R. Newry from Nassau, Bahamas. Nina Pak from Kiev. Sue M.K. Patton. Ronald Rhodes. Alfonso Riley. James Isaac Tucker. Barbara J. Villa. Congratulations to those receiving the Doctor of Sacred Studies degree.
Hi, I'm Danielle. I am the Shipping and Media Coordinator, and I just want to congratulate everyone that is graduating here in 2021.
Those receiving the Doctor of Theology degree, the highest degree offered by the Christian Life School of Theology Global. Oleg Dyachenko from Kiev. Matthew Harden. Sheila Green Johnson. Kenny Lee. Thomas Lipkins. James S. McIntyre Sr. Tercel Riley. Shante Charisse Thomas. Diane Twisselman. Congratulations to those receiving the Doctor of Theology degree. Dr. Langley, Dr. Cornett, and I are pleased to present to you the graduating class of 2021 at CLST Global.
The close of this year's commencement has finally arrived. Graduates, we honor you and we salute you for sacrificing and investing in your growth and development as kingdom-minded leaders. You know, as you continue your journey, may you look back on this day of your life with gratefulness and pride. At CLST Global, our prayer is that you will flourish in your God-given gifts and abilities, and that you will use them to accomplish your unique and special kingdom purpose. Things in our world are difficult and challenging right now, but I want to encourage you to embrace the future the Lord has for you. Just like God spoke to his people through the prophet Jeremiah. And yes, even when they were still under Babylonian captivity, this was an intense time in their lives, but the Lord said, "For I know the plans that I have for you. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." So ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to present to you the class of 2021. Congratulations, graduates.